going to alter that question slightly to trending approaches. Here I see more and more cooperation between theoreticians, computationalists, and experimentalists of all sorts. Classic psycholinguistics approaches and brain imaging, infant studies, large-scale data collection, sophisticated statistical analysis. All of this informs ongoing theoretical research, and theory influences experiment to a greater degree.
Now we're returning to a more integrated approach, and this is really leading towards tremendous progress in linguistics. The usage-based and constructionist approaches that have now become popular are part of the move to a more empirical and integrated way of doing linguistics, and they're leading to greater understanding of language and its uses and how it changes.
There are very general trends that are happening out there, and they inevitably will have an impact on linguistics. For instance, big data, machine learning, and we all have to develop an appropriate understanding of these more general trends and see how they impact our own work and own thinking.
I find encouraging for the future is the development of constructionist theories of language, like construction grammar, construction morphology, cognitive grammar, some varieties of HPSG, and my own parallel architecture. These approaches posit a very rich lexicon that's stored in memory, and it contains not just words or morphemes, but thousands of idioms and multi-word collocations and meaningful syntactic constructions that are all part of our knowledge of language. I think the constructionist approach gives us the possibility of unifying phonology, syntax, and semantics with each other into a unified picture of how language works. And very importantly, we have the possibility of unifying language with the rest of the mind, which would be terrific.
Obviously, a big thing is there are new tools. So now there are new tools for corpus construction, and as I was saying, new tools for analyzing sound and other properties of speech. So this gives us a great big sort of advantage. And when we have big amounts of data, we can really see things happening, and we can start to think about explanations and stuff like that. Trending topics are figuring out not just what languages do, but how come. And so starting to explain things. And part of that is having this kind of nuanced view of language. So rather than just saying, okay, this language has head final, head initial, or head internal relative clauses, the end. If you really get to know a language well, you can say, oh yes, I can see this construction just beginning to emerge, but it's very rare and we can still see where it's coming from. So for me, and this is just maybe a personal thing, I think if we want to explain things, we really need a diachronic view. So there's some things we can explain synchronically, but so much of grammar we just learn, and it gets formed little by little in tiny steps over time. And I think we're beginning to appreciate that. So I think adding the diachronic dimension is really a crucial thing for explanation.
Para diacronía, lo más interesante es que ahora podemos hablar de construcción como cognato. Y así es posible encontrar cognatos sintácticos entre varias lenguas relacionadas, y así es posible hacer reconstrucción sintáctica.
There's so many wonderful topics in the area of language learning right now. I suspect most of the emphasis I'm putting on it right now is in the first 3 years of life. I think there's magic there to be discovered as we watch those very first interactions with children and their parents back and forth.
Es que tengo la impresión de que hay un regreso a aproximaciones más descriptivas, más empiristas, que están bien. Esto está relacionado con... Creo que hay una relación entre eso, parcial, no total, pero sí creo que hay una relación parcial con el proyecto cartográfico, que es un proyecto que conocéis perfectamente y que es también muy interesante.
Para mí lo más interesante es la comparación De un lado, lo más interesante es que las gramáticas, el trabajo descriptivo, ahora sale de un corpus de grabaciones de habla natural y este está mudando totalmente la fundación empírica de las gramáticas descriptivas.
Don't want to say the topics I happen to be interested. I suppose everybody will so say their own topics are the trending topic. Mass count is a trending topic. Comparatives is a trending topic. Conditionals, modality, information structure. I can see a lot of trending topics. The clearer and the more exciting the puzzle is, the more people are there to try to solve it. And then, of course, in linguistics, it's not always clear when a puzzle is solved. So people just try and try and try.